slow. Don't know how that happens. It's all supposed to be digital, isn't it? Right, so are we ready to go? We're ready, right. Good morning, everybody, and a very happy new year to you and to all of those who are tuning in this morning. The snow has arrived, so I hope everybody is being safe out there on the roads. Cabinet have managed to make it in, or the majority of us are here this morning without incident, which is a good thing. So I'd like to welcome you all to this Cabinet meeting. We'll have some general housekeeping first. So this meeting is being held in person at County Hall and is also being streamed live on the County Council's YouTube channel, and the recording will be available to view afterwards. A fire alarm test is not expected during the meeting, so if the alarms sound, we must evacuate County Hall. In the event of an emergency, please make your way very carefully to the nearest exit and meet at the muster point located on the main car park, which has been gritted. So item 1 then is apologies for absence, please.
We've received apologies today from Councillor Jane James and Councillor Fran Wymark.
Thank you. Item 2 is minutes, and we need to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of December 2025, which start on page 5 of your agenda. Can I ask for all those in favour to confirm the minutes to please show?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Item 3 is declarations of interest. So do any Cabinet members have any interests that they wish to declare? Nobody is indicating. Item 4 is matters referred to Cabinet from select committees or by full council. And we have a recommendation from the Infrastructure and Development Select Committee, which is outlined in the report, responding to issues raised and providing feedback where appropriate, as set out in the table on page 45. So are we happy to agree that recommendation?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Item 5 is updates from the Chair and Cabinet members. I have a couple of updates first. The first thing I want to say is I'd like to thank all the staff who have worked over the Christmas period during the holidays to keep us all safe. That includes all our emergency duty teams, the staff working in the NHS, all our blue light services, and anyone who has put themselves out and away from their families during this festive season to make sure that the county continues to function and that everyone stays safe and well. They are the unsung Christmas heroes, and I'd like to thank them very much. The County Council appreciates the efforts they put in, and we hope that they do now get some time off to be with their families. I'd also like to speak to you about the business case that we've submitted for a single county unitary in Norfolk. We submitted it in September. There are 2 other proposals in the Norfolk area, which were also submitted to government. So one is for a 2 unitary model and one is for a 3 unitary model. And the government then decided to carry out a consultation on all 3 of these proposals. The consultation started on the 19th of November and it runs until the 11th of January. That's a period of 7 weeks. So I hope that Norfolk residents, businesses and organisations will take the opportunity to respond to the consultation so that their views can be taken into account. There's still time to do that. The County Council's response to the consultation is in its final stages of drafting and will be approved for submission by the 11th of January deadline. The final agreed consultation response will of course be made available to view on our website. Are there any other Cabinet members who wish to give us an update? Councillor Plant.
Thank you, Chairman. As you know, over the past few days, the weather conditions in Norfolk have been extremely challenging, and as you would expect, our gritting crews have been working round the clock to try and keep Norfolk's highway main roads network functioning as best as it can, despite the snow and freezing temperatures. Since the new year, our County Council staff have been monitoring the temperatures and highway network around the clock, and North Highways gritting crews have been undertaking multiple gritting runs each day and night to keep the priority network as clear as it can be, despite the weather. Over the first 5 days of 2026, our crews have already undertaken a total of 11 gritting runs, with the latest one being at 3 a.m. this morning. Each gritting run treats about 2,200 miles, or about a third of Norfolk's highway network, which is mainly the A and B road priority network. Over the past few days, conditions have been extremely challenging, with road surface temperatures getting down as low as minus 6.5 degrees in places in the county. With the challenging weather conditions continuing over the coming days, the County Council and North Highways teams will be continuing to monitor the weather forecast and undertake many more gritting actions. But we urge everyone to take extra care when travelling in these challenging weather conditions and allow more time for journeys. I would also like to highlight our ever popular Norfolk Winter communications posts on social media, which are really important. These let people know when we are out gritting. Since Christmas Eve, we've posted on Facebook 6 times, messages which have reached almost 400,000 people, thanks to the high levels of engagement and sharing across communities. I'd also like to thank the staff, Chairman, who have been doing this work, because going out, they're the first ones on the road when they're frozen. They don't have the opportunity, they haven't got the, how can I say it? There's not a gritter in front of them, gritting for them to go out and grit. So they're actually out on icy roads, and it's really dangerous. So I really thank the crews that are out there at the moment, trying to keep us mobile in the county. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Plant. And we have to remember just how many thousands of miles of road we actually have in Norfolk, and what a huge task that is. And we are very grateful that they keep the county moving, very much so. Any other Cabinet members? Councillor Bensley.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year whilst we're here all together. Thank you. Best wishes to all. Just want to highlight a couple of things. Firstly, all the teams at the recycling centres, very, very busy festive period. Everybody who collects the waste and everything that goes into our centres have been absolutely amazing. Touch wood, we're waiting back on data on actually how much is increased, but I'm sure there'll be a significant amount, so I want to thank them. And finally, Chair, if I can, just give you an update on the situation at Hemsby. We've had serious erosion over the last weekend. It was, what should I say, more of a shock than anything, because unfortunately some homes had already been programmed in for works to take place, but what has happened here, happening at Hemsby at this time, it isn't really theatrical for me. I live and work there. I see the erosion up close, and I hear daily from residents who are watching our coastline gradually disappear, and wondering what will happen next. This isn't just quietly unfolding as such in front of us. It's happening now, and the pace of it is quite alarming. And deeply upsetting, to tell you the truth, as the people affected by it have lost homes and will be in the shadow of erosion as it creeps closer. So the emotional toll on my community is enormous at the moment, and some of the residents are finding it really, really hard. But Yarmouth Borough Council, Hemsby Lifeboat, and I know with Norfolk County Council supporting them as well, has done the best they can within the circumstances that they can do. But I just wanted to recognise that this council and Great Yarmouth Borough Council understands the seriousness of the situation, and I know, from me being a councillor, lucky enough to be on both councils, that both councils are actively fighting to find sustainable solutions and proper support for the whole of our Norfolk coastline, because it does matter and our people do matter, and we must treat this threat of erosion not as an inconvenience, but as a real and immediate crisis facing our coastal communities here in Norfolk. And the problem is nationwide and so much bigger than Yarmouth Borough Council or Kings Lynn and West Norfolk Council or North Norfolk District Council. Our coastline is a forever moving environment, and it needs to be assisted by central government and an authority that has the power and weight behind it to actually unlock the support that our coastal communities need. So, as I said, the residents are in a bit of what should I say, troubling moment at Hemsby, but this isn't just only about Hemsby. This will happen, or it can happen, around our Norfolk coastline, and I know Norfolk County Council and the Yarmouth Borough Council are aware of this, but I just wanted to highlight that and thank the officers and, as I said, Hemsby Lifeboat and the crews that have been out there and the volunteers of the weekend that just passed, because that was a very emotional weekend. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bensley, and I'm sure the whole Cabinet will endorse what you have said. It is very troubling for us as a county that we have this enormous coastline and it needs to be properly managed. And unfortunately, although we do the best we can, there are lots of other agencies who are involved in this, and this is really a government issue. We need their support. We need them to make it a priority so that we can actually protect those people who are living along our coastline and make sure that their homes aren't washed away by coastal erosion, by the sea. Do what we can. What does concern me is we were looking at potentially some of those controls over the coastline, our water, going to the Mayoral Combined Authority. We were hoping we could get some devolvement of powers down to that, and now we don't quite know what's happening with that. It looks like our mayoral election is now delayed to 2028, and we don't know which powers will come down to a combined authority, assuming that one is now formed. And the other thing is, if we have a split up of our county into 2 or 3 unitary authorities, it's going to be much harder to manage the coastline across more than one authority, whereas currently as one county we can at least do the best we can and look at this in the round. So I totally agree with you, and our best wishes go out to those people who are suffering and who are worried about this. It is a big issue for Norfolk, and also for our friends in Suffolk too. They have similar issues. Are there any other Cabinet members who wish to make any announcements? No? Okay. We'll move on then to item 6, which is public question time. The list of public questions and responses has been circulated and published on the website. There was one member of the public who asked 2 questions, and they've both been answered. So we'll move on to item 7, local member questions. The list of local member questions and responses has been circulated and published on the website. There were some members who could have asked a supplementary question, but none of them are present today, so they're not here to ask a second question. So we'll move on. Item 8, Better Together for Norfolk, the 2021 to 25, delivering change and setting the course ahead. This item appears on page 48 of your agenda. And if you will remember that this strategy was conceived as a recovery framework because of the unprecedented challenges that were posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic and social impacts that it's actually had on us as a county council and on our residents. And our strategy was there to ensure that Norfolk could adapt quickly and to safeguard our long-term ambitions for inclusive growth and resilience. We focused specifically on growing the economy, thriving people, and strong communities. So Better Together for Norfolk had those core principles. It came to an end at the end of 2025. However, we will be rolling the programme forward and improving on that, because we can see that although we've done some most amazing things, we need to keep going. And even with the uncertainty of what will happen under local government reorganisation, Norfolk still needs to function and still needs to grow and move forward. So I recommend the report to you, and I would ask if there are any comments or questions on this report, please. Councillor Eagle.
Thank you, Chair, and Happy New Year to everyone. I would just like to raise some of the points from the economic point of view, and to slightly misquote Monty Python, what has Norfolk County Council ever done for us? I know everyone's going to hear about what we've done, the delivery of the OEM compass, the Herring Bridge, the castle, which is another department. I actually want to take it down to what we do really on that local and small level. So for one thing, with the Go Digital, where we've helped so many businesses and yet have more, those small businesses, whether in the high streets, out in our rural areas, helping them understand and getting that wider business connections and more customers and clients. We've produced that. We have helped so many more with the modern industrial strategy and with involving 500 stakeholders. We are really pushing onto that point. We have gone out big as well. We're not just looking at our neighbours and where we can do. We have signed, we were one of the first local councils, local authorities to sign up with a region in Ukraine with the Lviv area. This is not just thinking in now and obviously that dreadful war and those people that we have given sanctuary to escape that bombing, but thinking ahead when they come into that reconstruction, that we have established those relationships with them, hopefully to benefit not only their economy going forward, but Norfolk's. Again, to come back to the smaller point, we have introduced High Streets Matters, a small one and on a very small and tight budget, something that hasn't been done anywhere within the rest of England. And we have gone out and engaged with our local businesses in the high street, seen what they needed, how to help them increase footfall, giving them training and support and guidance where they need it and toolkits. And this has actually attracted the government as well as other local authorities. And it just goes to show that Norfolk is pushing and pushing all the time to support our small businesses. Because we have to remember, we have had and created a lot of businesses over the years, whether it's Aviva, when it was Norwich Union, there was the Bernard Matthews, the Lotus. They all had to start small, and I take the policy that we must be there right with those businesses. We do not know which is going to be the next of those businesses in the next generation, and we will make sure that we're all aware. And again, being a rural county, we launched, with the support of the Royal Norfolk Agriculture Association, the Norfolk Rural Business Awards, highlighting those businesses. We are involved with all areas of the Norfolk economy, and we support someone, whether it's that window cleaner or it is Aviva. We are there working with you to make sure that you can achieve the best that is available in Norfolk.
Thank you, Councillor Eagle. Councillor Dewsbury.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight the work we're doing with communities, especially with the snow that we've got outside and all the bad weather we're expecting. So the fact that we've got a network of 10 community food hubs and over 100 warm spaces, and that we used over 500,000 council seed funding to help these voluntary groups to set up these support things in people's own neighbourhoods, so they've got it sort of as near as possible to their homes. And this is on top of what we've done with the Household Support Grant, the Household Support Fund rather, which supported over 112,000 households. And we've also last year had the new Councillor Community Fund, which supported local community organisations to help bits and pieces in their own areas. So we are working closely with all the local communities and supporting them.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you and good morning. I need to say this from Children's Services point of view, because I'm very proud of Children's Services and where we are. Ofsted rated Children's Services good in all areas with exceptional practice for children in care. Our new road service prevented 395 children from entering long-term care. Over 1,100 wraparound childcare places created 670 new special school places which have been delivered. 584 funded places across 41 specialist resource bases which have been created, with yet more planned. Our family hubs have provided over 170,000 targeted interventions for families since April 2023. And our Norfolk Youth Justice Service was rated good overall, with some outstanding practices. All this would not be possible without the director, the senior leadership team, and every individual who works for Norfolk County Council Children's Services. They deliver this. I don't deliver this, but they do. So I'd just like to raise that this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Plant.
Thank you, Chairman. I really need to highlight what's been going on as far as the achieved highlights are concerned in 21 to 25, and that is obviously the major construction delivered at Great Yarmouth with the Third River Crossing, the Herring Bridge, but also Long Stratton Bypass at Long Stratton, improving connectivity and supporting growth. We've also had £49.5 million of government funding secured for bus services, resulting in 31 new and enhanced routes, and increased rural coverage. Bus passenger numbers are up to 18% year on year. I know we had the Prime Minister down having a look at the bus services in Norfolk about just before Christmas. We've also had the Vauxhall roundabout withdrawn from any major funding, which is just about £49 million, and a similar scheme on the west of the county, which was also withdrawing £40-odd million. So basically the money, we've lost £100 million in Norfolk on major schemes that were planned for many, many years, since 2014, to be honest. And as soon as this government came in, they withdrew £100 million worth of schemes in Norfolk, which I think is abysmal. The £49.5 million of government funding secured for bus services was already announced many, many months before. So, again, it's disappointing for Norfolk that we're, again, at the back of the queue when it comes to major infrastructure. We have got the WAR in the west of the county. Again, a major route to bypass West Winch, which is really important to find out that National Gas Transmission, on an original £4 million when we set off with this scheme in 2021, has now risen to £25 million in a 5-year period to put in 2 gas main pipes. That is a quarter of the price of the entire scheme to move 2 pipes. Again, it's just one of those things where central government really need to get a grip on what it is that's important to the people of Norfolk. We're moving forward in putting these plans forward. We've put so much work into making sure that we have these plans for the future to be ripped away from us when a new government comes in. And I'm sick and tired of it, to be honest with you, because it happened on the A47 under the last government when they withdrew the fact that it was a trans-European network route, and Europe would have paid for that road to be dualled. So, again, it's just one of those things where people need to think ahead of what it is they're doing like we are doing. And when it comes to financing major routes and major infrastructure, it takes many, many years to get it to a point where you're taking it to the planning committee. And when a government whips away the money for no good reason, we are going to suffer again in Norfolk from not having the infrastructure that we deserve to grow our economy. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'm going to be a little bit parochial. I'd just like to say thank you to Councillor Plant and the team in Highways for pushing forward with the Long Stratton Bypass project and getting that funding agreed just before the general election. I'm not sure that Long Stratton would be enjoying the peace and quiet and safety that it is now experiencing had we not had the Conservative government funding that project. And I'm very pleased to say it has made a massive difference to the residents of Long Stratton, but also, interestingly, our local businesses have in fact seen an increase in footfall. Even the chip shop that used to have a lot of passing trade is actually getting a lot more local trade because people are no longer adverse to driving into the centre of the town. So I'd just like to take that opportunity to publicly thank him for that and to thank Octavius for an absolutely superb job that they did. But I'm here obviously to speak on behalf of Adult Social Care, and I just wanted to pick up some of the highlights around the healthy, fulfilling and independent lives. And I firstly wanted to talk about the 120 independent living apartments that have been delivered during this period and 15 supported living homes. But actually, what more importantly are the 290 additional homes that are scheduled to be completed by 2028. I think we have 5 capital projects on site at the moment, might even be 6. I've been to so many groundbreaking events, I'm losing count. But we have another one out in South Wootton coming up in the coming weeks, which I'm looking forward to. And I was very pleased to be in Stalham just before Christmas at Stalham High School, where I was presenting certificates to students who had decided the name of the new supported the independent living unit that's being developed there. So I was very pleased to join their end of term school assembly, which was absolutely brilliant. So it was lovely to spend some time with the students there. I just wanted to mention about support to carers. There's been a 7% increase in unpaid carers that have been supported through our social impact bond along with Carers Matters. And that's very important. And I wanted to acknowledge all those that have delivered home care. We've delivered 2.7 million hours of home support. That is phenomenal. And we all know what a journey we had into work today. So I'd just like us to reflect on those carers who will be driving around the county, potentially on quite treacherous roads, because there is a person who is reliant on them to be helped out of bed, to be provided with some food and warmth and some company. We cannot underestimate the value of that contribution, as I know from my own personal circumstances with my father who's being looked after in Wales. So, you know, I'd just like to acknowledge the huge amount of work that they're doing. I think it would also be churlish of me not to mention, actually, the NHS. They're under huge pressure at the moment. I know if Councillor Wymark was here, he would want to mention that. And also some of the work that's been done through public health, supporting nearly 9,000 smokers to quit. We all know that probably cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest risks to us, and people who smoke increase their risk of that. And I'm very pleased that our artificial intelligence pilot around falls has now extended to look at identifying people who might be at risk of cardiovascular disease who have not been identified and are not having treatment for it at the moment. Because anything that we can do to reduce that, and anything that we can do obviously to continue our pioneering work around reducing falls and possible fractures, particularly at this time of the year, is to be welcomed. And I really want to honour the team that have pushed that through, because it is gained national recognition, and quite rightly so. So I think that's probably all I'll say at this moment, but some great work going on in adults. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bensley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. A great document here, Norfolk Matters as such, brilliant work by the officers and everybody involved. Obviously, I'm going to highlight my environment and waste departments on here, but just wanted to say beforehand, it's lovely to see a photo of the place in Great Yarmouth in there, because that has been a revelation for Great Yarmouth and a real good, strong project being delivered by us and all the other agencies involved, and that will help stimulate Great Yarmouth for the future coming. Of that I have no doubt. And also the Armed Forces Covenant that we have in here still, which we're secured and moving forward, which helps all our armed forces personnel and families in Norfolk, which is amazing. But I will highlight just page 84 regarding Norfolk Trails. We have 1,300 miles of that, which is absolutely stunning. Norfolk is unique, as I don't have to sell it to anybody. We are very, very special county. And what makes that is the people here. We all care and we all work together to try and achieve what's best. And that is a wonderful example of that. Our local nature recovery strategy that we've been working with Suffolk hand in hand with that was released. An amazing piece of work as well. And also one of my highlights, that we have just broke the barrier, and we are now, I'm glad to say, over the 650,000 new trees for Norfolk mark. So that is great work also by the officers and everybody involved. Just going over to the waste, we're cutting down a lot into what goes into landfill. In this document it says we now only have 13.6% that goes to landfill, which is amazing. We're continuing Touchwood with the hazardous waste days, which are collecting loads, and finally working with George Freeman and the Norfolk Strategic Flood Alliance. We're working with them, as he's highlighted, as George has highlighted, a massive concern on the front page of the EDP today. We've worked with George in his parliamentary piece and moving forward together for Norfolk like this, and yet this is another example of the planning and the procedures and water flooding and everything, just not connecting, not joining the dots. So we will look to continue to do that moving forward with this, and we will continue to explore all solutions and get that done. But I just want to thank George for highlighting that, and this document supports that as well, and we'll continue to work together. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Councillor Jamieson.
Thank you, Leader. Well, as you say, this is inevitably a bridging document building on the achievements of this administration's current strategy. And despite the government funding falling significantly as a proportion of local authority income, Norfolk's maintained its momentum through a disciplined financial management, strong partnership working, and a clear focus on outcomes. And the strategy highlights tangible economic successes, including sustained investment in infrastructure, in skills, in business support, helping Norfolk grow key sectors such as its advanced manufacturing, its agribiz, its digital sector, and the green economy. Improvements in connectivity, and in particular, some of the bottom-up work that my fellow cabinet members have described here, mentioned by Councillor Eagle in relation to the economic work in the high streets, and Councillor Dewsbury in relation to the local community fund, which we put in place last year, and the household support fund, so that we are trying, wherever possible, to work well outside the boundaries set by us, by our statutory obligations, which we undertake with great responsibility and the greatest respect to the individuals concerned in our adult social care and children's services side. But we're working well outside that in the trails side mentioned earlier on by Councillor Pentley, the local recovery fund and so forth. And crucially, this paper argues that future success depends on modernising the local government landscape. A more streamlined system, along with a directly elected mayor, will provide with clearer strategic leadership. It'll reduce duplication. It'll unlock greater devolution of powers and funding. A mayoral model will give Norfolk a stronger voice nationally. It'll improve coordination on transport, on housing, on economic development, and it'll support long-term investment decisions. And you can see how this can work so quickly, for example, in a small way when Norfolk County Council took on the functions of the local enterprise partnership, linking better with our internal economic team here in NCC to strengthen links with independent businesses via the newly set up Norfolk Business Board and direct engagement with SMEs by the economics team. So building on proven delivery, despite funding constraints, these reforms will help Norfolk go further, faster, and more sustainably in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think that was a fantastic roundup. When I look at page 50, which has got the achievement highlights on it, sort of the things that jump out at me are the number of SMEs that we've supported, over 1,500. Over 1,500 we've supported. The major infrastructure that we've delivered despite some of the challenges that we've faced, the Great Yarmouth Third River Crossing and the Long Stratton Bypass that we've just spoken about, which I was pleased to go with Councillor Thomas to open a bridge there. It was already open, but we did the ceremony and the pulling back of the curtain thing, you know how you do. What does disappoint me is that we weren't able to start the Norwich Western Link project because we had a small bat issue, but we haven't given up on that. We're still working with Natural England, and we're still hoping we can find a solution and deliver that vital link around Norwich. Children's Services and the Norfolk Youth Justice Service rated good. That's fantastic. And the amount of support that we have delivered to people, the 2.7 million hours of home support, I mean, that's quite an incredible achievement. And expanding the capacity by 40% over 2 years to enable more people to leave hospital and avoid admission. That helps the NHS. We are partners with the NHS. So our pioneering use of artificial intelligence to reduce falls and fractures, and where we're going from there, is also helping the NHS and gaining national recognition for the good work that we've done, and we will continue to do that. So Household Support Fund, £58 million delivered to vulnerable households in conjunction with our district colleagues. Amazing things that we've been able to do. And some of the really good visible stuff that brings tourists to our areas, like the Norwich Castle Keep that was reopened after a £27.5 million redevelopment. Most amazing jewel in our crown in our museum service. But we also looking after our environment. 70 electric buses in Norwich, reducing our 80,000 tonnes of CO2. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And anyone who's used that service will tell you that you can now walk along Castle Meadow and not be gassed by diesel buses, which is actually wonderful. It's done so much for the air quality in the city centre. New trees, 650,000. I'm glad to hear that total is still rising. We're still aiming towards our 1 million total, which we set ourselves. A very ambitious project, but we are getting there now. And also the fact that our fire service, they do so much considering the level of funding that we actually get per capita in Norfolk. If you go to somewhere like Manchester and you see some of the services that they're able to provide because they get so much more money than we do, we really have the most amazing fire service. And they took some of those fire engines that we were replacing out to Ukraine to support our colleagues out there. Amazing that they drove them across to Poland and then to Ukraine to deliver those fire engines and help those people. Bus passenger numbers better than Manchester again. Manchester were sort of lauding the fact that they had 5% increase in bus passenger numbers, and we're over 18%. And we've done that without having a mayor and without having all that extra transport investment. But if we get that transport investment, if we get our mayor, then we'll be able to do so much more. I think the worry for us is that LGR and devolution could now be in jeopardy because the government moved the goalposts again, and we are still waiting to see the new statutory instrument that the government are going to produce on devolution, now that the mayor's election has been moved forward to 2028. It's a great worry for us because we really wanted that to happen, and now we don't know if we're going to be able to deliver it, and we're in the government's hands on that. And we're also in their hands on local government reform and whether they want us to split our county into 2 or 3 pieces and put in jeopardy our excellent adult social care and children's services and all our other large services that work so efficiently across our county at the moment. Councillor Jamieson highlighted that we continue to deliver a balanced budget every year, considering the great constraints that we're under, and one of those is the safety valve programme. It's the special educational needs and the direct service grant to our schools. We don't get enough money from central government in order to deliver those services, and as a result this council has to find that money in order to meet our statutory requirements. It's not fair. It shouldn't be happening. They said they're going to do something about it. We're still waiting to see exactly what that is. But in the meantime, we are servicing interest payments on a debt that doesn't belong to us. It belongs to central government. And that's got to change. If we didn't have to service that debt, we would be so much better off, and it'd be so much easier to balance our budget, wouldn't it, Councillor Jamieson? But I would lastly like to thank the Cabinet, because you look after your individual portfolios with great enthusiasm. You have a great depth of knowledge. You get really stuck in, and you make sure that those services run correctly in conjunction with your senior officers and their teams who do an amazing job for Norfolk. So I'd like to thank you so much, because you make me look good. Because without you, I couldn't do what I do. So you are my support, and I thank you because you help us to run this council in a really, really good way and support the people, the residents of Norfolk. That's amazing. So I'm going to turn to the recommendations on page 48. And they are to recognise the work that's been done under Better Together for Norfolk 2021 to 25 and the Council's achievements against its strategic priorities, and to confirm the view that for the next 2 years, for 26 to 28, the Council will continue to take forward the principles on which Better Together for Norfolk 21 to 25 was developed, and lastly to agree and approve the proposed approach and direction ahead as outlined in section B of the attached report. We need to carry on the good work, folks. I hope you will agree with that. Can I see all those in favour, please?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on now to item 9, which is the admission arrangements community and voluntary controlled schools for the 27-28 school year. And I'm going to ask Councillor Penny Carpenter to introduce the report, which starts on page 92 of the agenda, please.
Thank you. The school admissions arrangements for community and voluntary controlled schools for 2027 to 28 school year, and we are the admission authority. Voluntary controlled schools are state-funded, local authority, faith-based schools where the land or buildings are usually owned by a foundation, for example, the Church of England. They still have governors and follow the national curriculum, and the community schools are LA owned and run. Basically, this paper is about the school admissions arrangements in agreement with the school's adjudicator, and all relevant information is to be found within the paperwork. We comply with the Schools Admission Code of 2021 and associated legislation to ensure a fair process for parents. Norfolk County Council hold a statutory duty to determine admission arrangements by the 28th of February each year. But should parents be refused admission to the preferred school place for their child, they are entitled to appeal the decision, and that will be handled by an independent appeals panel. And I hasten to add, no appeals have been made, so it is to be noted that for each of the previous admission rounds, the majority of parents gain a place for one of the preferred schools for their children. There are 2 appendices. Appendix A is the Norfolk Community Voluntary Controlled Schools and proposed public admission numbers, and Appendix B, which is a coordinated admission timetable for 27 to 28 school year. Also in the report, we cover an oversubscription criteria for the community, for the secondary schools and reception classes. But that's within the report, so I won't cover that. But in this cabinet in this chamber before, I have spoken about the falling pupil numbers and what our actions have been. And it could not have been missed that within the papers, there are a list of schools for the 2027 PAN numbers, and which you will have seen. 6 sites have under 9 new pupils, one being only 7 for ages 4 to 11. But at the other end of the scale, we have 5 schools, with one school expecting 120 new pupils from the age range of 7 to 11. Then there are 4 schools within that age range expecting 90 pupils in that age range, and the remaining are from 10 pupils up to 80 pupils. So it does reflect what I have previously spoken about within this chamber. Obviously, the falling pupil numbers is completely out of our hands, and we just have to manage that with cooperation with the schools. Our admission arrangements for registration classes, the round 1 opens on 23rd of September, closes on the 15th of January 27, and the National Day offer will be on the 16th of April, and that carries through to the infants and junior with the National Day offer on the 16th of April. There is one recommendation to be found on page 92 at section 1.1, which is to agree the admission arrangements. But it would be very remiss of me not to mention Mr. Eric Clark, who started work with us in 1988. And all that time he worked, and it rose to the admissions manager. So he retired in December after giving 37 years. And I must put very clearly that thank him for his unwavering commitment to Norfolk County Council and the children of Norfolk. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on this report? I can't see anyone indicating. I know that when children change school, it's often an anxious time for parents wanting to get their child into their preferred school, and it's good to see that there have been no appeals, so it looks like the system is working well, which is great. But the falling number of pupils is a concern, but this, as Councillor Carpenter said, is a countrywide issue. We're not the only ones, but it means that we have to look ahead to where schools are and where pupil numbers are falling, and actually make decisions alongside those schools about how to deliver the best possible education for the children of our county. I'd also like to endorse the thanks to Eric Clark for his long service. I'm sure Cabinet will join us in endorsing Councillor Carpenter's words on that, and to thank him, because without staff like him, you know, we would not be able to deliver the really good services that we do. So our thanks go out to him, and we hope he enjoys a very long and happy retirement and whatever he's going to do. I did ask him if he got something exciting he was going to go on to do, but he wasn't going to tell me, so it's probably bungee jumping or, cliff walking or something, I don't know. But we wish him well in whatever he does. So you've heard the recommendation, it's on page 92. Can I ask for all those in favour to please show?
Agreed.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item 10, which is working with the voluntary community and social enterprise sector in Norfolk. It's on page 112, and I'll ask Councillor Margaret Dewsbury to introduce the report, please.
Thank you. This report sets out the Council's formal response to the VCSE sector's open letter from the Empowering Communities Partnership, which called for fairer procurement, prompt payments, investment in infrastructure, and a single digital space for engagement and consultation. This sector is a vital partner for helping to deliver the government's or the council's ambitions, and this paper recognises their contribution and outlines actions to strengthen our partnership working, address current challenges, and develop solutions for Norfolk's communities. Norfolk County Council acts as a grant funder, commissioner, and strategic partner, and collaborates with VCSE organisations to deliver essential services to working groups, partnerships, and the consultation processes. The County Council has worked across departments to review the current practice and address the sector's request. This includes the adoption of the Civil Society Covenant. We've identified strengths, gaps, and opportunities and developed a set of proposals set out in Appendix A. The report shows the VCSE sector is not just a delivery partner, it's a strategic ally in achieving Norfolk County Council's vision for thriving, resilient communities. It plays a critical role in risk and resilience. During crises such as COVID-19 pandemic, to the cost of living pressures, VCSE organisations have mobilised rapidly to support communities, fill gaps and maintain essential services. VCSE organisations are often the first responders to emergency social challenges, from food banks and mental health support to youth work and homelessness services. They deliver early intervention that reduce demand on statutory services and improve long-term outcomes. Their preventative work closely aligns with Norfolk County Council's goals around promoting independence, reducing inequalities, and supporting vulnerable residents. So I move the recommendations on page 112 that the Cabinet acknowledges the significant work of the VCSE sector to Norfolk's communities and the current challenges in the partnership working, and that Cabinet agrees the Council's proposed responses and actions as set out in Appendix A. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, thank you. I fully support this report. During COVID-19, many councillors put themselves forward to assist members of the community, and the VCSE were behind it. And I know from personal experience that apart from doing shopping for people, I used to phone elderly people just to make sure they're okay. And if anything that I red flagged went straight to them, and they handled it extremely professionally. So they proved their mettle during COVID-19, I think. And we couldn't have done it without them, I don't think, of galvanising people together. So I would say I fully support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to endorse Councillor Dewsbury's comments about the value of the VCSE and the partnership working that we do. And I'm very pleased that they are very visible in Norfolk. I sit on many partnership boards, such as the Health and Wellbeing Board, the Integrated Care Partnership, where we have representation and active engagement from the VCSE partners that represent their wider community on those meetings, and also on the Safeguarding Adults Board, for example, where we get real examples of the community work that they do and the impact that has on safeguarding. we cannot do it without them. Adult social care is undergoing a massive transformation, looking to deliver help and support to people much closer to them in their communities, and the VCSE will be a key partner in that work. So I just wanted to acknowledge that from an adult social care perspective, they do a huge amount of work, which is valued by us all, and we look forward to continuing to strengthen our relationships with them and our partnership working as we move through the transformation that's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamieson.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, no, I also welcome this this report and endorse this, and the recognition that there is in it of the vital contribution across Norfolk that the VCSE sector gives. Now, there are a lot of areas where we're clearly working well with the VCSE sector. However, I think the response that I read highlights areas where we do need to improve, and that's particularly, I think, making procurement more accessible and also improving the transparency of funding. And so I would propose that we ask officers to prepare a briefing with clear recommendations and timelines on these issues. Given the changes to the local authority landscape, I think procurement is going to be a key issue that we need to demonstrate that we're going to get right and that we're able to deliver practical support and fairer procurement and stronger partnership working with the voluntary sector. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Bensley.
Sorry, Leader, just to highlight, I think, well, I know I agree with everybody and everything that has just been said, but just to highlight the volunteers and what they do in Norfolk once again. I know I spoke about Norfolk being a special county, and it is because these volunteers are the conduit between people in need and the people that can unlock the help to give them people in need the support they need, if you know what I mean. Sorry to go around, beat around the bush, but that conduit, that vital information, as Councillor Carpenter highlighted, and I believe Councillor Dark, when his year was in the chair, he highlighted volunteering. So for Norfolk, it is a great piece and so rewarding to do that volunteering, and not to be underestimated, but overall a great report, and I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? It's absolutely true. We can't function without the VCSE sector. They are some amazing organisations out there, and we do thank them very much for all of their hard work. I think about, in my own local area, the Community Food Bank, which I helped set up during the COVID pandemic, which is still going strong and still supporting many people. And I know that that is replicated in many different areas. Lots of different services, as Councillor Thomas said, and Councillor Carpenter said, you know, picking up people's prescriptions, providing some company for people. All of these things are absolutely essential, especially in such a big and diverse county as ours, when people are quite often spread apart. And we think about deprivation being in urban areas, but often people find themselves quite isolated in small rural villages as well, and we need to make sure that we reach every part of our county. And our voluntary community and social enterprise sector absolutely helps us to deliver. We couldn't work without them. So you've seen that the recommendations are on page 112. Can I ask for all those in favour to please show? Thank you. So we'll move on to item 11, which is the East of England Made Smarter Adoption Programme. It starts on page 161. I'm going to ask Councillor Fabian Eagle, please, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. This is an extension, or actually a huge increase from the pilot programme that Norfolk County Council led last year with 1.2 million. This is one of those anomalies as well. The East of England in this scenario and for the Made Smarter Adoption Programme not only includes Norfolk and Suffolk, but also Essex, Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire and Cambridgeshire. And the real coup for Norfolk County Council is all of those authorities actually agreed and wanted and felt that Norfolk County Council economic team was the best team to be the accountable body. This does follow on before when we dealt with one of those EU funding the Channel project, and it has been proven over times. So building on that, we have obviously done something right with that delivery, supporting about 88 businesses or so, because the Department of Business and Trade have increased the funding this year to £2.4 million. And we will hope to build on what we have already done with the pilot programme, which will include grants to businesses and also support through impartial business advice, leadership and management for digital transformation, digital readiness, road mapping. But this is all about supporting the manufacturing sector of our economy, which too often gets forgotten about, and particularly in the East, we're not really renowned for being a manufacturing industry, although we do and we are. And I will just take a plug for Norfolk. At the end of this month, we are actually hosting extraordinary businesses in an extraordinary county, where we will be promoting those businesses that you would not expect to find in Norfolk. And we need to build on more of this, and not just in supporting what we would consider rural industries, but more innovative areas, and making sure that we're moving forward and we are an economy fit for the 21st century. Just to add on this, I think we've got it because we are a single county, large and big enough that we actually had an economic team to actually deal with this and cope with it. And I think overall it's a real coup that the Department of Business and Trade actually said, Norfolk, we are the ones that to lead this, and we have the right team to manage it and be the accountable authority, but all the other 5 bodies, lead authorities agreed with that as well and took that forward. And they've had no complaints from the previous year as well. So hopefully everyone agrees with me. It's a good thing. We're not only supporting Norfolk's economy, we're supporting our surrounding counties as well.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on this? Councillor Jamieson.
No, I'd like to endorse Councillor Eagle's comments there. I think it's extremely agree that it's a coup that we have been chosen to be the lead authority to deliver this programme. It'll help. It aims to help advance manufacturing, engineering SMEs right across the east of England and enable them to adopt digital technologies. You know, there's leadership development, there's matched funding and technology grants up to 20 grand. I think it builds well on the pilot work that we at NCC have already done, and it aligns directly with our economic priorities to boost productivity and create higher value-added jobs in key sectors. So I'm extremely pleased to see this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? No one's indicating. Well, as once again, Norfolk is a leader in this field, and we are recognised as such by some of our fellow authorities who surround us, and it's great that we can actually help them to take this programme forward. We know that many businesses are under pressure. There's extra financial burdens placed on them by this government, which is not helping. So anything that we can do to assist those businesses to make sure that they thrive and survive is very important. And it would also be very regrettable if our economic development team were to be broken up under local government reorganisation. But that's something we're still waiting to hear about. So I'll take you to the recommendations, which are on page 162. That's to agree for Norfolk County Council to continue to serve as the accountable body for the East of England Made Smarter Adoption Programme for delivery of the programme across the East of England region, and for Norfolk County Council to accept the grant funding of £2.4 million for delivery of the programme across the East of England region for the period 1st of April 26 to 31st of March 2027. Can I have all those in favour, please show.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on now to the risk management report, which starts on page 172. This is a regular report which shows how the risk register is organised and what we see as proposed risks and those that we need to increase and those we might need to decrease. So the key messages on this report are new risks is RMO 52, which is the transition of the Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service to the Mayoral Combined county authority, which was something new that was, we were told that our fire and rescue service and that of Suffolk's would be rolled into a mayoral combined authority. We have said to the government that this is going to be quite a substantial task because the two fire services are actually managed in quite different ways. And so it is a key risk for us to make sure that those services remain robust and there are no gaps in service provision whilst that is occurring. So that is something we need to be concerned about. There are some risk score changes. So the risk score on loss of key ICT systems has been increased from 8 to 12. But there's also a reduction in the critical skills required for the organisation to operate effectively, being reduced from 12 to 9. The other changes are basically title changes and description changes, so they're not material as such, but they are for noting. So the recommendations are on page 172. Are there any comments or questions on this paper? No. So the recommendations are the key proposed changes to corporate risks, which are shown in paragraph 2.1 and 2.2 in Appendix A, since the last report, which came to Cabinet in October 2025. The corporate risks as at January 2026, which are in Appendices B and C, and that all risk information covered within the report is satisfactory. Can I ask for all those in favour to please show?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on then to item 13, which is corporately significant vital signs, which starts on page 231 of your agenda. This would normally be a report that would be given by Councillor Jane James, who would introduce it. She's unfortunately not with us today, but we wish her well. So the highlights, which I've been given to tell Cabinet about, are that in adult social care performances remained largely static across all measures for Q2, and in public health our health visiting score continues to improve and has done this period by over 8% following continued growth across the year. In children's services, our education inclusion and achievement measure has improved by 7%, and our social worker vacancy level continues to be managed well. This quarter for Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service, the number of home fire safety interventions has improved from 710 to 826. We continue to see positive improvement in the volume of people using public transport, which has increased from 6,905,013, I counted every single one, to 7,269,339. I'm not going to tell you what the gap is because my maths isn't that good. Perhaps someone else can work that one out. For finance, we continue to be on track for our savings targets, and for capital receipts for land sold, this has improved from 1.592 million to 7.957 million. That's quite an increase. And in terms of areas of underperformance, in adult social care, performance is static. In children's services, our managing the market measure has decreased by 20% since the last quarter, and this area forms part of planned transformation activity in relation to services, in relation to fostering and demand in relation to special educational needs. In infrastructure, performance has dropped for our treatment of highway defects measures. This underperformance is attributed to unexpected demand in relation to surfacing works, but it's not expected to continue beyond Q4. So those are the highlights from the report. Are there any comments or questions, please? Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, and I welcome the report. I just wanted to pick up on 3.8, Vital Sign 5, which is around the quality of the market, which is static, but at 70% is starting to move very much in the right direction. But I just wanted to highlight that we are very reliant on the CQC to reassess care providers in order for that performance to change. And just to give some context, the CQC only carry out between four to five inspections a month, and usually those are on care providers that we have some concerns might be requiring improvement or falling into inadequate. Just to give some context, our PAMS assessments that the local authority does, which provides some reassurance to the CQC about the state of the quality of the market, we've got about 55 providers that are currently sitting in requiring improvement or inadequate that we feel, if they were reassessed today, would be good or outstanding. So those providers are sitting in a measure that doesn't fully reflect their ability to improve and actually their proven capacity to improve, which we've seen through the PAMS process. So I just wanted to remind the public, actually, when they're looking at care provision, perhaps for a loved one, to not just rely on the CQC assessment, but go and look at properties, go and look at care homes yourself, see it for yourself. Is it somewhere that you feel that your loved one would be looked after well? Do you get a good feeling from that place? And actually, you're welcome to make inquiries to the local authority about the PAMS rating on that care home, because you might find that that's quite different to a historic CQC assessment, which perhaps has happened many years ago, and maybe even with a previous provider. So I just wanted to highlight that, because I think it's important that people realise that the CQC is not the only thing that you should be considering when you're thinking about where you seek help and support for your family members. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Thomas. Any other comments or questions? No, I think that's absolutely right to highlight that when these reports are done, they are a snapshot. And if there are improvements to be made, then they usually happen very swiftly afterwards. And it's down to people to actually go and have a look for themselves. Absolutely essential that they do that. And we know that with the transformation programme that we have in adults, that things will be improving over the next few years, because that's our intention, and we're absolutely determined that we're going to deliver that. And the staff are 100% behind it, which is absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. And we thank them for participating in helping us to improve all of our services. So I'll take you to the recommendations on page 233. One is to review and comment on the end of Q1 performance data and associated narrative. 2 is to agree the 42 highlighted actions as set out. So can I ask for all those in favour to please show? Thank you. So we'll now move on to item 14, which is the Health, Safety and Wellbeing Mid-Year Report 2025-26. This starts on page 256 of your agenda. This report is showing that Norfolk County Council has a positive health, safety and wellbeing culture, that the standard of health, safety and wellbeing management ensures employers are at work well and productive. And we have a successful strategic approach to trading and cost recovery. What I would like to point out is the themes that we have here, which are discussed by our senior executive team, are about setting the tone from the top. It's about leadership in the organisation, the culture and engagement, and supporting people to thrive, our well-being, and building strong foundations so we get the very basics right. These are the keys. We know that our staff are the backbone of this organisation. They are essential to us delivering the services that we are required to do to the people of Norfolk. And so their health, safety and well-being is absolutely of paramount importance to us, to make sure that Norfolk County Council is an employer of choice, and that when people come here, as we saw earlier with long-serving members of staff, that people stay once they come here, because we will look after them and make sure that they can progress in their careers as well. So that's the report. Are there any comments or questions on it? No? Okay. Well, we'll go to recommendations then, which are on page 258. So they are to consider and comment on the headline summary and performance report, to champion employee and member health, safety and wellbeing through demonstrable leadership and advocacy of the guidance and services available, and to endorse and support the ongoing focus to improve health, safety and wellbeing management through executive director and management leadership and delivery of health, safety and wellbeing services. Can I ask for all those in favour to please show? Thank you. So we move on to item 15, which is reports of the Cabinet member and officer delegated decisions made since the last Cabinet meeting. There are 2 decisions made, one by Cabinet member for Strategy and Governance, myself, and one by the Cabinet member for Corporate Services and Innovation. They're on the papers. Has anyone got any comments or questions about those? No. Okay. So we'll move on to item 16, which is the limited company consent. This starts on page 296, and I'm going to ask Councillor Jamieson to introduce it, please.
Yes, well, I welcome this new joint venture that the Norse Group is signing with the Wiltshire County Council, and it is, and I commend the board for putting this together. The details of this could be discussed shortly in closed session, but I simply say that Norse has over 15 years' experience in environmental services joint ventures, and it shows in its ability to sign this particular joint venture. It supports the circular economy. It will support local jobs there. And the sort of sustainable service delivery that Norse is so well known to deliver. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Well, the recommendation is on page 296, and it's to approve the formation of a new subsidiary company of Norse, Wiltshire Norse, as detailed in Appendix A, which is the exempt agenda. I have to ask you whether you agree that the appendix should be kept exempt. Is everyone in favour of that? Yes. And if yes, can we discuss the report without moving into closed session, ensuring no reference is made to any exempt information and resolving to note the exempt appendix? Everyone's in agreement. So are we happy then to agree the recommendation on page 296? We are agreed. Okay. So we're not going to exclude the public under item 17, and we have item 18 is the exempted appendix to limited company consent report, and Cabinet are to note the exempt appendix. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the meeting. The next meeting will be held on Monday, the 26th of January 2025. So 2026. There's a typo. Yeah. Typo. It's very easy to do. Moved into the new year. It'll be 10 a.m. and it'll be here in the council chamber. So I'd like to thank all of those who have tuned in this morning and all of those who have attended. Thank you very much. This meeting is closed.